Welcome to Dark Sorcery. I'm Alfredo Martinez, and I have with me Cris Blakk. Cris, good to have you on.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right.
What's
So
going on, Alfredo?
nothing, just kicking back on this Friday night. Looking forward to this interview. This is something different,
Nice.
something, from a Western mindset, to be talking about spirituality from a Muslim point of view, an Eastern point of view is exciting.
Amen,
So,
amen.
go ahead and tell us how your spiritual journey began.
Well, just to be honest, just in case people have this really weird thing, my real name is Bruce, but people don't call me that. People have called me Chris for like 13, 15
Okay.
years.
Right.
So, Cris Blakk is my name, and I came to California, start all over, and I was really messed up for a long time. I was an atheist. Not that that's messed up, but I was an atheist for like 10 years, and I studied a lot of esoteric science, and I didn't know. I was absolutely terrified the
Mhm.
first time I came across everything because I was raised born again Christian.
Oh, so was I. So was
Oh
I.
yeah,
I know
see,
how that
so
goes.
so see, you would definitely understand that. Mira, eso del demonio. Like
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what my mom would say. You know,
I'm a Virgo, mom. What the? Eso del demonio. You know what I'm saying? It's like
exactly.
that same thing. So
I
you're
went
like
through that.
always like, and then when I first came upon it, what do you think? I was like, oh, like, no, this is cool. No, I was like, holy shit, this shit is gonna fucking scratch me.
It takes time to deprogram from that mindset, especially when getting
Oh,
into other forms of
whoo,
spirituality. You
absolutely
take it in steps, and then you're like, okay, well, this isn't so bad.
right.
So
Yeah.
now,
Um.
I was gonna say, so you are Guatemalan, is that right?
Yeah.
But you consider
Guatemalan,
yourself
Nicaraguan.
okay?
Um. We have Irish. We have African, and I don't know which African. We have African, hopefully the Congolese, but we have uh, uh, this type of blood. It's um, like Indian from India, and
Yeah.
also Asian. And the thing is that we don't know. It doesn't necessarily going to be probably China. It could be like South Malaysia or Nepal. You never know,
Okay.
right? Like you have to
Right
do
on.
that thing. What is that? 1, 2, 3 or something like that?
Yeah.
What is that thing?
I don't know, man. I don't
You
know
know what
what
I'm talking about?
I know what you're
The
talking about,
DNA,
but
the
I it
DNA
just
blood
it just
test and
won't
all
come
that
to
through
mind.
family, like a family
Yeah.
tree thing. You're right online.
Right.
It's the only way
But
you're gonna find out, but I don't trust that shit.
but you consider yourself Muslim, is that right?
I am a very beginning. I am absolutely. Um, I always say, all right, because what? Can I tell you what happened to me?
Go ahead.
So Thanksgiving, right? I was absolutely who I was, Cris Blakk, chubby Cris Blakk. I was big, huge Cris Blakk, and I'm just happy and into black magic, into everything, loved everything, wasn't into religion. No, I came to a point in my life at that point. I respect everything. I love everything. I sure went through my time where I was into stuff that I would troll religions, you know what I mean, for fun, just
Yeah.
being, trolly, whatever, just for fun. But Thanksgiving, I got into the most freak, horrifying accident. And the reason why I say that is because a little cut on the wrist caused me my whole life. And I now have a bone infection that I'm fighting for forever. And you look at me in 1 minute, I might look like I put some weight on, and then in a few days, I don't know how, but I lose like 20 pounds. And then I'm like trying to fight for everything.
Right.
In the beginning, I was like almost 300 pounds in the beginning of what happened on Thanksgiving. And they told me, oh, well, you have this metal poisoning and it can kill you. And the only thing we have a problem with is that you have diabetes, and the diabetes is feeding the sepsis. So I freaked out, but I went, right? I mean, I wasn't supposed to leave the hospital because they were trying to save my life. And I was like, oh, I'm a fucking nerd, but I'm like a paranoid, crazy nerd. And I fucking escaped from the hospital. I went home and researched because they weren't going to tell you shit. They ain't going to tell you shit.
Yeah. A lot of
So
stuff
I
you can
went
save money just by looking it up yourself, because that's basically
and,
what they do a lot of the time.
right, right. $1 in late fees at the library, right?
Yeah.
The 80s, that's the 80s shit. And so, and that's how I did it as a kid. So that's why I always was, because I always like my father was always like, oh, these people are never gonna tell you. Every time they tell you something, just understand. Just him looking at me like that, I was always like that. So I was always like, oh shit, I better fucking go find out. And then they're like, I found out that, the only way that if you're having a problem like a poisoning problem, but a disease or a sickness that you have or a challenge that you have is helping that, so you have to beat it immediately. So I
Right.
said, okay, that's the first step now, because I'm not afraid of nothing. I'm not afraid for nobody to tell me nothing. Everybody else is, and everybody else is like, oh, I couldn't do something like that. Fuck, that's my life.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, so what do we do? Okay, you got to be the how? Only water and greens. And I was for a minute. I swear to God, Alfredo, for a while, I was like, I'm gonna die. But then I was like, fuck you, you fucking mother.
Yeah.
I'll
That's the
slap.
that's the attitude.
Right. And then I went like this. I said, F that. I'm gonna die. And my girlfriend was like, I'm with you. And we threw everything away. Everything. I didn't care. I was like, fuck, because you know why? We're gonna sit and go, oh, is this? No, yes, right? Oh, fuck. Threw everything the fuck away. I mean, I'm talking about all the food.
Yeah.
Started completely all over. I was mad. I was so mad. So I was like, I went to the hospital and then I went right back home again. And I was like, I cooked steak. I cooked the squishiest uh, Lebanese bread. I cooked everything that could kill me. Because why? Because I knew it. That was the last day. And I ended it. And somehow in a few weeks with really being serious about it and just greens, water. From that time until sometime right before Christmas or right on Christmas, I went to the hospital again. And my hand blew up. It got black. And so I was like, oh shit. I went home and they're like, holy shit. You might not have lost the weight, but you know what? You beat the diabetes. This is crazy. This is insane. You beat the diabetes. You don't need to be on insulin. And it is helping the sepsis. We got some bad news. The sepsis spread all to your heart. And now you need I don't know if you can see it. Shit. Is it? Uh, oh, fuck. You see that? See that?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. So that's where it's called a PIC line. Anyway, we have to put this in your heart or else you're definitely dead. But we want to be honest with you and tell you this. We're going to try an 8-week super antibiotic prog, but we don't know. We're really like this stuff has spread. And so I put that out of my mind immediately and totally forgot about it. I mean, stupidly, because I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Because I don't know what happened to me. I didn't even think. Right. And so somebody came and they were like, oh, I feel bad here. Because, here's gummies because you don't think that's nothing wrong. Right.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'm a gorilla. I could take this. I took the whole thing and the fucking machines were like, beep, 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 beep. I was so embarrassed and scared. And it actually did something really bad for me because they were like, but I don't, you know what it is? Because I think I'm in California and everything's going to be okay. And they were like really pissed off about it. They were like, holy shit. I mean, everybody was upset. So I was like, and they were like, you're trying to say that you're an addict and all that. I was like, oh, like,
Right.
this is something crazy to the, but this is what, so all these things and the pressure going on. And they're like, and then there was one like a nurse. She was like, F all that stuff. You have a PIC line in your arm and you can die. What's wrong with you? And I was like, bling. And it finally came because also my girlfriend was standing there like, you
Mhm.
know, and I was just like, it hit me. It hit me. And I was like, and I really got even more serious. And I didn't want to do nothing. I didn't take no pain medication. And like every like 15 minutes, I was like, because of the fucking nerve thing in my hand. Because what happened was I didn't just cut my hand. So what happened was I think I said it, but from the last time. So everybody was, doing this funny thing with the turkey, and it was over, the food was over, everything was done, and I did the same thing, joking around, and I went like this, and I took my hand out, and I went down again because I thought that, but the handle came out of the metal part,
Right.
and the end of the metal part had all this black shit on it, and that's how it all started. But I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you this on this spiritual show.
Okay.
The reason why I brought this whole thing up was because I was admitted into the careless facility in Oxnard. I say that because of what happened. Wait till you hear it. And so I'm there from New Year's Eve to like the middle of February. And it was, wow, it was something else. And I was just like, I had to pretend in my mind that as soon as I physically entered the place, my life was saved. That's how I had to manifest part of what was happening. That is this giant entity of infection, because it's in not just your filled in your bloodstream, which you're dead. You're absolutely dead once that's, when they say it's filled, it doesn't mean just the part. It means your whole goddamn body. When they say your blood is filled and now your bone, it was coming from the bone. The bone was just developing it. And that sucks because how in the fuck, the whatever is that chemical for the bone, the vitamin D,
Yeah.
it starts to protrude and then it starts to envelop with enzymes and proteins and whatever thing is in there that they didn't take out or they don't know or they don't understand or they can't because it's dangerous or it's too delicate, it starts to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks because you can't heal the bone unless you heal the blood immediately. And so they're pumping me with 8 weeks of super antibiotic IV in my arm into my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like forget about what's happening, that part. What's happening in my I took my cast off because I sweated. I had to put it back on because it hurts. But um so I this thing when it got cut, the nerve, it was all about the nerve because it was all over my body. But it was so grand and so crazy, and my mind was just so insane that it would go like this and make me shake when I talk. So if I would make a video, I'd be like, "Hey, how's everybody doing?" Like that, and they were like,
Right.
"No, but like they thought, holy shit, this guy, like he became Down syndrome or something like that. We don't know what really happened. Holy shit, he's dying." And then one day, there's a dining room hall, and if you know about YouTube, um, on a cable TV thing, it's a fucking pain in the ass. You got to put every exact song you want, like a old school texting, right?
Right.
Right. So there's no way in the world that I could understand the YouTube popping on, which is still hard, but an exact song. So one day, um, I walk in and I had a pretty clear mind, and I look. And what's funny is that I didn't see anything. I didn't see nothing. I didn't see anything in front of me. All I all that was happening was me hearing the sound that was coming from the video that was playing on the YouTube. Because somebody had to have done that on purpose early in the morning. Nobody's ever up. I'm like everybody's like 180 and I'm the only almost 50 guy.
Right.
And so I was like, so this what it was a doer. A doer is this somebody that does on purpose a part of the surah to keep saying it and keep saying it and keep saying it as like the mantras are repeated over and over for power. And the power is for whatever it's saying. So it was like a blessing to your wife. And not that I don't think about my girl, well, whatever. I was just like, okay, this is cool. I don't have no problem saying this. And man, I'll tell you, it wasn't really, I guess what I needed, because I guess what I needed was heal me, save me physically, right?
Mm.
But here's the weird things in esoteric and spirituality and sciences of the reaction of things and our actions, because we are made of well, we have a magnetic flux, and it starts with our heart, and it's our whole body and our crown chakra and our um sacral chakra, and it goes in and out, and it goes like this, like a fucking fountain. So when we do things, it makes sense, because when I before, when you leave religion and you go to esoteric, you tend to think that that's absolutely completely right, and then your religion was completely wrong. But it's not really like that. It's like little things and having to balance everything out. You understand. So then you understand it's not that you would be punished for sins, go to hell, or whatever, but they're telling you that this is bad because it's a bad for your body physically to do it or not do it at the right time or whatever with the moon. It's so funny because people don't understand. And I always said, you know what? If Islam is so hell bent into telling people you don't do witchcraft, you don't do this, you don't do that, why is it following the moon?
Very good point. Very
And then
good point.
I kept going, hey, maybe my ideas of because oh, by the way, so let me finish my story about what happened. So I was in there and I was listening to it was like this you know rhythmic, and it was like La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil azim.
Mhm.
So when I heard that, I was like, because what was crazy was that when I heard it, it went through my body. And when things do the things that I'm used to when I do it myself, when I clear my chakras, when I do a light meditation, when I meditate, and these normal things happen, you trust it. You're like, hey, what? This is nice. What is this? Why? How did this happen? So, like whatever. And what happened? It took me back 20, 30, 25, 30 years ago. I can't remember. No, no, no. That would make 10. Like 20 something years ago. You
Right.
know, I was really young, and I got a ticket, but I forgot. It was like 2 years, a 2-year-old ticket, and it was nothing. Because probably back then it was like an $8 ticket, but after 2 years. So I had a warrant, and they didn't even know, and nobody knew, and then I got pulled over some stupid, not even whatever. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't. It was nothing. And then I'm in jail, and then another thing happened is that they mixed me up, and they put me in like a murder tier, and they kept telling they were like, yo, this is like either political or somebody's messing with you, because this ain't supposed to happen. You obviously, from a mile away, you don't belong on this tier. And I was like, hey, but then what happened was, when I first came in, this was the weirdest thing, and they were throwing batteries. And this is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to tell nobody nothing. I was just telling you what happened. And so this brother comes over to me. He's like, hey, what's up, man? And he puts his fist out to me, and I was like, hey. And I felt this immediately, like it was safe. And I didn't know who he was. So I was like, ah, whatever. And then all of a sudden, this kid comes up to me. He's like, ah, fuck you up. And he's really tall and skinny. And I was like, why? I just got here. Give me a few days. And then a few people were laughing. He's, oh, you think you're a fucking funny guy. And then the guy that was like fist bumped me, he goes, oh,
Right.
he goes, this guy could be your father. He was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's like, yeah, whatever. He turned around, he ran away like a little kid, which he actually was. He was a kid. And so at the time I was a little older, obviously. Oh yeah, that's how I thought it was. No, I was old. I was older. So it wasn't, I don't know, whatever. But the point is this: one day I was waking up in my tier. I was there for like a couple, like more than 2 months or 2 months. That's a
Mhm.
long time for a stupid ticket.
Right.
And what happened was they 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 couldn't process the ticket because they fucked up at the city originally in that county. they had it, but they didn't really push it right. That's why I didn't know about it for 2 years. So when they finally pushed it through, they were like, we can't find it, we can't process it. And if they couldn't process it, I could sue them. So they kept holding off, and it kept getting worse. And so, but we are here, we know why. So one day, you remember I told you it was like 20 some years ago or something like that. Maybe it was 20, I don't know. But I'm inside, wake up, and it's like, Kutambul Aliban Katila. You hear it, and it's like, whoa. But this ain't no stereo or YouTube. Okay?
Yeah.
This is the real. So I peeped my head out, and I saw two big orbs on one side, a brother with his hands up like this, and two orbs on the other side. Wait. And you hear him doing the Suda, like, Kitambul Alivan, like what he was saying, you know? And he was like, I pulled away, and then I was like, I laid down, and I was like, the first thing that came out of my mouth was like, I'm into Jesus. How come I like that shit?
Right.
And I never said anything for 15, 20, 30 years because I was so scared, because I was like, I knew I was. And the reason, another thing was that when I came out and I told the guy what happened, he said, no, there's no orbs. It was these two brothers here, these two brothers here. And there were five brothers up on the thing doing it, but I saw one, and the other four were orbs. And when I told them that, their eyes turned like silver. And I was just looking at them. And you know what the guy told me? He goes, all four of them are falsely in prison right now. I was like, what? And that was the thing. And that made it, none of that stuff that happened at that moment made me go, oh, I'm going to be a Muslim now. I was scared to death. I mean, I will tell you, even admit now, that I was more scared then than I was when getting into black magic and all that shit. I was like that fear, like that hits you immediately, but you're like, oh, and you just forget about it.
Yeah, I know what
So
that's
when
like to see things that aren't physically there, but they're there. I also know what it's like to hear music that's not physically being played, but you can still hear it. So,
that,
yeah,
especially if it's like a chimey, it's like ding, 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 ding. What?
yeah,
Right? So
right on.
with this, when this happened to me on Thanksgiving, and then this happened, it was probably a couple weeks after New Year's, and all I couldn't stop doing, all I did was, like, I didn't have a Quran, so I went online and I had the little thing online, and I just kept reading it, reading it, reading. Oh, I was reading like crazy, and everything inside me just kept thinking, you know. And I will admit, even up to this day, it's very hard to go back to believing in God again. It's very hard. It's, but I I get into the mode because of what happened, because of, my life change. And, like, I don't know if you saw the picture. I I I I know that something something helped me transform out of all that infection, because just standing, sweating, going to the bathroom was like, I told my friend, oh man, when I go to the bathroom, yeah, this is kind of smell, whatever. And she was like, oh, you're dead. And I was like, what? And then all of a sudden, I just kept praying and doing the prayers even at home when I got back from the hospital. But what I didn't like was, as this infection is going out of your body, it was making me think I was dead, because it was leaving. So it was really like, it was angry, and it's like making me like, it's doing something to you, going, you're going to make me leave, but I'm going to fuck you up. So I was cold all the time. I was hungry all the time. I was feeling like I was cooked in a microwave all the time for months and months and months. And I got back in the, like, middle of February at home. So from that time till now, it was only probably like maybe a month ago where I stopped feeling that thing. I feel it, but it's very whiskey and thin. But in all this, I was very curious, because I kept saying, oh, I was kind of saying, oh, I got to give up all this stuff. God doesn't like this. I don't know what to do. And then somebody was like, they said to me, you're a Sufi. And I was like, what? It's like, and I heard it before, and I was kind of like, they were like, oh, Sufis are into this, but they're into the Islam, but they're into this. I was like, huh? And but then I really got the truth because I kept there's this book. I got my stack of books, my crystals, my cards, and everything here. Look real quick. You can see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, so I got this book. Let me see. It's called I Am Wind, You Are Fire. And it's a Anna Marie Chamel, but what she did was she took the words from the things from the Sufi. See if you can see it.
Yeah.
And
I can see
so
it. Yeah.
when I was reading this, I was really like happy and shocked and amazed and like, oh shit. And that whole thing of going, oh, I get it now. And I did. I'm really getting it now. And that's just because this guy Rumi was a Muslim before you called them Muslims. But he told the truth about who they were and he saw it coming. And he
Mhm.
said, this is not going to be around for a long time. They're going to change everything. The corporation is going to, be the Kaaba is going to become the corporation. And so he was right, and it had to change. And so the new Islam is very, uh, it's not that it's a plasticized thing. It's that it's a very, what I come to understand is that I was at first kind of accusing and going, oh, it's fake now and it's not real. No, it's not that. It's that it's way more protected and lied about things on purpose. So people, because besides that, like, let me explain something. Like a Sufi, or even if they didn't call them Sufis, or even if that didn't get out yet, a long time ago, even more older than that time, everybody that was a real man, but that was into spirituality was the same because everybody was cool with each other. So everybody never attacked each other. Go, oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, everybody was cool because everybody was a working man. Like every man had a family. Every man was regular. Sometimes man was single. Sometimes whatever. And even if people were different, nobody made a big deal about. Nobody was like, oh, you're this. They were just like whatever, and everybody dressed the same. Everybody wrapped their head the same. Everybody did the same thing. But here's the thing: people were smart, and they used navigating tools with the map the moon if they were traveling. That
Mhm.
alone is like, holy shit.
Right. Now, before we get any further, you mentioned Sufism. I'm just going to say Sufism as reference. Explain to the people what a Sufi is. It's a branch of Islam, right? That
Well,
practices
here's the
mysticism.
thing is that here's where it gets a little bit complicated
Right.
because the Sufi has originated certain things, but certain religions have empowered the Sufi. So if I say there's a Sufi, there's a couple different Sufis. So like India to me is the most glorious because they're Islam, but they're everything esoteric and they'll never say that word. They use these other words. And when I went to go look at it, I was just like, now I'm not going to lie immediately. Well, if you love magic, if you're a universal person, if you're not have beef with nobody, you're going to love anything that's magical. You can be like, wow, that's
Of
fucking
course.
awesome.
Yeah.
So
Learn
I
from
was
all
like,
that.
right. So I
Yeah.
was just like, holy, but I spent maybe 72 hours obsessing. And then I said, holy shit, I'm doing the same thing as when I thought I was going to die. But that's okay because I'm not going to leave it, Islam. I'm going to leave it because for me, even this sect of whatever I'm trying to figure out that is different from the ancient
Right.
has been helping me. So in my mind, maybe I created it as a template. Maybe I'm doing it myself. Who knows? But it is help. It is helping. So I'm not going to leave it. But I know what's free. I know who I am. I know that I have a quantum biological structure, and I know that I can do things. And all I need is the sun and water and vegetables. You know,
Mhm.
which is another thing. But what was I? I wanted to finish saying what I was saying, but
You had mentioned you started mentioning about the moon. First of all, you said uh Islam or Muslims follow the moon, observe the moon.
Right. Oh, well, that let me finish with that. But let me say this. So another Sufi is like, for instance, there are these. Um, what is the name of that culture? It's not Armenian. It's something else, and they're Sufi, but they're totally different. And they wear these top hats that come down like in a kind of like cone cylinder,
Right.
and they're this order, and they have these things, these men that they're like they look like ballerinas when you first look at it. If you didn't know anything about it, you were from a masculine type home, you'd be like, ha ha, what is that?
Western mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
And at first, in a way, I was kind of like, what the heck? But then I realized what they're doing. They're creating these vortexes when they spin and do this dance. And
Okay.
they're twirlers and they're called Sufis, but they're not like the other Sufis. But here, what the main thing was that most of the Sufis, they they don't mind, or you let me just say this. Back then, which this is the one part which is so weird or ironic, and was that with me always wanting a direct and super solid uh, confirmation, or I was obsessing all the time, you know. And so what happened was, I read the part in the book where it said that Sufis, not their whole base was Islam and Allah and worshiping and doing the Sudas, but that they were into Platonic solids, just like the Jews and the Cabal.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh,
You mean
because
when you say the Kabbalah, you mean the Kabbalah?
well,
Or
when I say the Cabal, yes, but when I say that like that, I mean everything. Like the Cabal means like everything that you think, whatever. It came from there, but that was taken from Africa. But that is the Cabal, and
okay.
so the Cabal is all the Jews and the Muslims. Because back then there was no Jews or Muslims. This is why the Cabal and the corporation is so like the Christian Bible, the Muslim Bible. Everything is like it's if you go back, you could figure out the simplicity of why I say everyone was like, if you're into you seem like a nice universal person, even though you admit being into like black magic and everything like that. See, you would have been considered like a Sufi back then because you're cool, you don't have no problem, you talk to people, and
I,
you're into
I believe I can learn from everybody from all paths
right.
and all types of magic.
Right, because you're not afraid, and that's the point. And there was a lot of people that was so, there's just people in the world that they can't do it. They can't do something. They can't figure it out. They can't have a family. They always mess up, and you feel sorry for them. But these people would go and mix in with the jinn, mix in with the moon and doing things, trying. And they would do the wrong thing and totally cause chaos and lots of like spirits and like open portals you're not supposed to. And people were like, what the hell? And that was one of the reasons why they wanted to shut it all down, because people were going wild and not doing it. And my first thoughts were always, oh, see, these are and it is half corporation, half archon, half bad, evil people. But like I said, it was kind of like they were protecting the religion in a way,
Yeah.
because people wonder now, why are Muslims so powerful? It's not the surface level, it's what you don't know. And if you're esoteric and you come, let me tell you something, you figure it out quick because you're like, wait a minute, this thing is like, but nobody else knows, only you know. And you got these thousands of people that are so for years and decades and for a long time from rich men that don't do it nothing. So they don't study nothing, they don't care. They just, oh yeah, this is right, okay, I'll do it. And so you realize that you're like 1,000 times smarter. You're like, hey, listen, this is not really this. How dare you say that? You know what I mean? So you're like, oh shit, man, I shouldn't have said. But then that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick with Muslim. But because there was a lot of from a couple months I went through telling people like certain things you just know for sure. You can't, no matter what religion you join, nobody's gonna tell you. Just know for sure.
Right.
Something that you know. And I believe in a lot of people that believe in like God and stuff to tell me, oh, that's not true. No, let me tell you something. You cannot be forgiven for murdering somebody. Hell no. You know why? Because of the what you learn in cosmicity. Cosmicity is when you do things people don't know, like when you have sex with somebody, when you commit a crime. Well, it doesn't have to be something bad. It could be something but heavy and like something, right? Like have a girlfriend or um, your favorite teacher. You have a crush on a teacher, or you're a kid and you enter in the boxing PAL, and one of the coaches is like, whoa, like an uncle to you, like, oh, you'll never fucking forget, all these things,
Right.
right? All these things that you do in cosmic law of science, and
Right.
I guess it's cosmogony or cosmology. The body creates a line, but what's weird is they say, I don't know how to explain this part, but it goes to the universe and comes right back down to Earth,
So,
and so
so you're referencing like the cosmic web, where everything's all connected and all actions.
well, it's like your body, the earth, and the outside, and what happens when we do certain things. And it makes sense of what Einstein was talking about, the cosmological constants or constant. And I will say that in a second. But what happens? So anytime you do something grand or something that makes you so happy that your kundalini rises, even as a kid, you don't have to manifest a giant golden house, but we as kids we've manifested things we didn't realize it. And
Right.
because we get happy, and you do this thing, and a lot of times it's because of people and relational uh, things. So if you do something grand, like if you do something really like you kill somebody, that line is like this thick. And the thing with cosmological constant, I said, whatever even your thoughts will cause dark matter to come together, clump up, and crash against things. Like what? And people were like, "No, what? That's
Well, well,
insane." This
see that.
Einstein said this.
Right. Well, this the way I see it is that I believe that um, you can do pretty much anything as long as you have reason to do what you do.
Right.
Do you agree?
Exactly. Exactly. And some things that people think are bad or whatever, people are like, "Oh, this is," and maybe other religion be like, "Oh, that's a sin." It's not.
Yeah,
It's
I think
because
it depends
people
on the person,
don't
the
have the
time
courage,
period, and so forth, the mentality at the time.
right? And
But
at the
you,
time, I'm sorry.
one
I'm
thing
sorry.
that
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, one thing that I had heard you mention before is that Sufis were psychic and used crystals.
So that's what I was trying to say is that back then, a probably more known Sufi were the ones that developed everything and were together. So what would they do? They for one thing is they would be the type that they knew where to go to get jobs at every place in town. For some reason, they just knew.
Right.
So they traveled all together as workers, and they weren't no weak dudes. You know,
Yeah.
they had it together, and they didn't eat certain things. They didn't eat animals. They didn't eat, you know, maybe they ate fish once in a while or something like that. I don't know, but they
Right.
just stayed away from certain things. They were into platonic solid. They were into crystals. They were into throwing platonic solids on the ground, throwing salt on the ground, throwing crystals on the ground, and saying, "This is what's going to happen." That's insane.
That is insane.
Why is that insane for me? Is because when I came out and started doing magic, started learning, one of the things of magic that I was learning was Thelema, Thelmic, and the Kabbalah and the Kabbalah, and the tree of life, the tree, the tree of death, everything, right?
Mhm.
So when you're learning and everything, there was one page about platonic solids. I said, okay, wait a minute. It's like, why do these look like Dungeons and Dragons? So that's when I was like, holy shit, Dungeons and Dragons it really was magical. They weren't lying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about it, but from what I hear, it does seem pretty mystical.
So
And
one day, my friend, this guy that I was hanging out with at the time that was into magic, was teaching me some things. Was saying, look at the table, the Nokian table. take your dice and throw them. And I was afraid. I was like, I'm not listening to this guy. He's gonna get me fucked up. I was
Right.
scared. And the first thing I thought, listen, you want to hear how funny I was? That that I thought that that Aleister Crowley was gonna come out and hit me with his cane on my head and say, "You fucking stupid ass," something like that, and be like embarrassed. So I was like, "Fuck it,"
Right.
because I saw a friend post the uh platonic solids, but then here's what happened was I had gotten a big giant book. I should have took that out so I could show you. It's all the way in front of it. It's the secret teachings of all ages. It's a sizable window and it's underneath one of my altars and it's huge. I really wish I would have got it. I'm sorry. But what I wanted to show you was that
I know of the book. Yeah.
yeah, inside the book, mine's the big version, and it has the pictures of the platonic solids and everything it talks about it. And so I was like, man, maybe this is meant to be because I remember my friend had gotten the game and said, oh, you could have it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I took the dice, not even thinking. And I was like looking at the dice, they're black dice, right? I have them
Mhm.
right here. I have these are the full seven. I switched the other seven to make it black and purple, but these are the original Dungeons and Dragons. These three.
Uh,
I don't know if you could see it.
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I can see it.
There you go. So anyway, um, I didn't even think about it because I didn't put two and two together yet. And then when my friend said it, I was like, all right. I didn't really do it at the time, but I waited maybe a few days, and I was like, no, no, I'll do it later. And he knew I was scared. I knew
Right.
I was a magic baby at the time. I didn't know everything scared the shit out of me. So I was like, I did it, and I was on my altar, but I made sure that my friend was around and somebody else was around because I really was nervous about it. So I did it, and nothing. And she goes, "What do you think it is?" And it took me that whole time to finally develop a divination system that is not polymancy, that it doesn't follow the Dungeons and Dragons game. Like, that is so stupid. Well,
Right.
yeah, you can't judge nobody. So, I did my own thing. And for a long time, everyone was like, oh, you're so weird. You take the gin and you take the Goetia and you put it in the ephemeris. Nobody does that. Wait. And then you play with platonic solids and you say it's divination. Nobody does that. And this whole fucking time, that's exactly what these motherfuckers did back in the day. The Sufis would take whatever jinn aligned with the birth time of different archetypes, would align that jinn and do the Suda to the jinn.
Okay. Okay.
And that's exactly but I didn't do it. I would just take the sigil, and if it said, like for instance, let me just say really quick because I know you're wondering what I'm really meaning, and that is, for instance, if it was Leo season and the moon was in Sagittarius, and I said, wow, you know what? I could really make something happen because I was so into Goetia and um the Orisha Santeria, right? And
Right.
I knew how to align all of them with the times and the
Interesting.
moon. And
Interesting.
so if it was Sagittarius that was in the moon, regardless of what season it was, I would align the Goetia and Masons and all kinds of, oh, what the fuck are you doing? This is so stupid. You see, yeah, oh, good luck. And
Right.
I was like, oh, I'm all by myself with this. And guess what? That's exactly what they used to do. And I'm
Love
like,
that.
oh my God. So you know Goetia, right?
Yeah.
Or you know there's 72, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another 72 angels. So listen to this. The number of the Suda in the Quran
Right.
for the jinn is 72.
Interesting. Very
Oh,
interesting.
that is crazy, right? And
Yeah.
I've read plenty of times who said, I created a jinn. It says like it says, okay, there's good jinn and bad jinn. It says, I'm going to destroy these jinn. All right, well, whatever. I don't have that attitude. because nowhere in the Bible, the Quran, any kind of holy book, it says, well, if you follow this and does what it says, even though you don't address the things that you don't agree with, it doesn't say that you're not going to go. It says, whatever, if you're doing this, I'm doing it. I'm not doing it.
Right.
I'm following it. I'm just with the things what they say, like, oh, God will forgive you if you kill. Get the fuck. I don't care what nobody says. And me talking like that too and being who I am. Oh, they were, oh, the way you are, you're gonna go straight to hell. How? How? If I got a message from God and God's like, okay, yeah, if I feel in my heart that I need to stop cursing and acting like this person, maybe, but that's not real. You know what I mean? Or if it is real, then beautiful. I hope it happens, but I'm not doing it now because I am who I am, so I'm
Right.
being regular. I'm not even,
Exactly, man.
the
And
truth
and
is,
and
I'm
I
not even trying to do anything. I'm not just trying to
just do
save my
you,
life.
and you developed your own magical system, and I will have you back on so we can discuss that magical system more in depth. But moving on, let's talk a bit about your music. You sent to me some music that you did. Is it on your
Yeah,
YouTube
finally,
channel?
I was so, because what's so funny? I knew I had tons of songs, and I was like, where are all my songs? But at the time when I was telling you, I think maybe I was still going through a lot of things, physically and shit. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh. But so yeah, I sent you the last one because it was easy to do because it was a full R music, R thing. So this
yeah.
guy, his name is Dave Artista. I wish he could be seeing this right now because he would be like making a big deal. This is exactly how he sounds. He's like, "Hey, Chris, how are you? How are you doing?" He was on my radio show. He's a cool guy from Italy. He's from Spain, but he lives his life in Italy as a musician, and he works and he's just a regular dude, but he's a musician, and he loves this, he helped me. That was his beat. He gave it to me. He said you can put your music on. So thank God, because it's our it's the music, and there's nothing copied. And the reason why I gotta admit, maybe because I'm almost 50 and I really don't care no more, and that's why I use beats. But I like the way it sounds, though. It's just I know you can't because of legal music stuff, But I wanted to tell you that I enjoy doing that. I don't. Uh, I think it's kind of cool, but maybe other people don't think it. Whatever, I don't know. I think it's all right. I just like if I was at a show, I would be playing those beats because it would sound great.
Yeah, and
But
it's rap music.
right, I was glad
Yeah,
to send you that. So that song is a little more political, but it's magical. Did you get the chance to listen to the whole thing?
I did. I
Oh,
did.
okay, cool.
And
It's called Dismantled State.
yeah, it was pretty good. Some pretty good raps, man. Is that on your YouTube channel or is that on like an
That's the
Instagram page?
YouTube. Yeah, that's
Okay,
the
cool. So
yeah. I was thinking, because I have a reverb. I was looking at it today. Reverb. How do you say it? Reverb. Reverb Nation. Reverb Nation.
okay,
Remember that
okay,
old one? Yeah.
right
Cris
on.
Blakk, The World is the name of the band. The band consists of me and Brian Rumi, who's known as Jack Nice. Brian, he lives up more north, California, or north of LA. And we don't really get a chance to do music that much anymore because it's far away, but we could do it online and stuff. And he does. He helps me. He's been there for me. Like when I didn't have nothing, this dude made all the beats in the beginning. Like if you listen to there's this one dark one. It was one of the first raps. It was called One Cell. That is all Brian. He plays bass. He does electronics. He does the recording. He plays every instrument. Uh, the song that's on Reverb Nation that's called um, um, We the People. It has kind of like a reggae slash country beat and it has harmonica and piano, and he did all the music. And so I sang and I could sing. I could sing like a singer, and I could rap. And so we got together and we called ourselves Witch Child, like a witch. And that was when I was really into heavy lifting, quote unquote. And
Mhm.
so magic. And so I came across a band in Texas that's been around for 20 years in their metal band called Witch Child. And I said, you know what? I don't even want to give them the name because I can't deal with that. I don't want to go to they have the name for such a long time. I'm not a bastard like that. I don't want to fight somebody for something they've had for 20 years before me. Just say, hey, we give up. We're not gonna. And they were like, oh. And when I said that, you know, it was funny. They were like, we weren't even worried about it. We actually like looking at your band because we were like, look at this witch child. They're totally different into rap music. And so, but I changed it and I said Cris Blakk the World. And what was crazy is I saw a lot of at the time, which I still like doing, dark jazz fusion coming into Cris Blakk the World.
Right on.
You know, yeah. But we're still doing, you know, stuff. I call up Brian. If I said, hey, listen, we really need you to do this thing and send it to me, he'll do it. He'll do it. We're still together. We're still a band. Hopefully we can uh, um, perform. Uh, just to interrupt what I'm saying, I wanted to, if you hope you don't mind, I wanted to tell you, if it's okay, I wanted to tell everybody about the fair and how hopefully, well, I don't want to talk about the fair, but I just wanted to say, hopefully, Cris Blakk the World will be performing at the Ensu Fair in the fall, which we're putting together, Esoteric Fair.
Okay. Now everybody's heard that. Everybody can look out for that.
Yeah.
Also, below in the video description, I will have a link to Cris Black's YouTube channel, all his social media links. Go ahead and check him out.
Right. So,
Check out his music. It's good stuff.
if
Cris is
anybody wants to look for just the music, it's called Cris Blakk the World. And what
Cris
happens
Black.
is you'll see it on there's another YouTube channel called Black the World Inc., which is a media
Yeah.
channel,
Well, I'll link
but
both of those.
and the Cris Blakk the World Reverb Nation.
Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So, Cris, it's been a pleasure having you on. Very interesting.
Awesome. I wish we could talk
To have
more.
you. What's that?
I said I wish we could talk more.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely have you back on, and we'll go more in depth on Islam, Sufi, and other stuff. But thank you for your time, and
Thanks a lot,
everyone
man.
who's watching, like and subscribe to Dark Sorcery.
Peace.